Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, it is 11:04 on The Lock Shop. Thank you very much for being here today. Dusty and Huss with you. Lots to break down from the National Football League yesterday. Both of our teams winners. Mine doing with a quarterback throwing touchdowns. Huss's team doesn't even need to throw touchdowns. That's how good they are to go to 6-0. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just spent the morning staring at the standings of both the NHL and the National Football League.
This guy, how does it get any better for this guy?
Listen, I hate to potentially peak in October, but it's good times around Chateau Huss right now. Listen, the Jets, we had a great weekend here in Winnipeg. Jets scored, 14 goals in 2 games. The game against San Jose was an absolute laugher. That is not an NHL team right now. And they didn't have Celebrini and Will Smith and Eklund in it. So it was basically Tyler Toffoli and a bunch of guys. And then the Chiefs get it done yesterday. After the Jets beat Pittsburgh. And a very fun day, welcoming Brian Little back. We had the Where is Rutger chants going in the 300s of the arena last night.
Drager was talking about those today. He's like, the 300 level in Winnipeg never disappoints.
Yeah, we had a big WST crew out for the game yesterday, so it was a heck of a lot of fun, and then ripped across as soon as the game was finished, and got a chance to see the Chiefs take care of business in the Super Bowl rematch against the Niners. So overall, pretty good. Man, the Viking game, you're happy about it.
Whew.
Hell of a football game. Back and forth. I think we sort of knew that would be the case. It was there for the taking. They didn't get it done. They couldn't get that first down. And listen, good on Detroit for getting the win. And the Green Bay and missing that by a half point was a little tough to take. But I did go 3-0 and cash the CFL ticket that we made.
We were unanimous on the CFL, right? So that was a nice week. That was
hopefully people jumped on that and used that 20% booster for it. And now, of course, we get in. We got a great night tonight, double header for Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
and hockey obviously we'll get to. Just one game in hockey. It's the Amazon game. I think Tampa Bay and Toronto, and then a full slate tomorrow.
We'll dive into lots to get to actually. Let's stick with the NFL for now. Quick question, because one of our listeners slid in and he goes, hey, I need your professional opinion. I've got a 13-game parlay needing the Cards and Ravens tonight. So he's 11 for 11. 13-game parlay needs the Cards and the Ravens tonight. It was a $3.90 bet to pay out $3,461. He can cash it out right now for just over $1,000. Do you cash it out? Or do you let it ride? And now I bring this up because I replied to him. I had a 9-gamer yesterday, and I was 7 for 7 heading into the Sunday nighter. It was a $40 bet, paid like $1,400 or something. My offer on the buyout, the cash out, was like $450, and I was like, I had the Jets, and then I had the Ravens, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let it ride with the Jets. Thought Aaron Rodgers might come through for me. Definitely did not. Huss, I guess my question is, and what he's asking us, and I would like your opinion on it, because I faced it last night, and I was texting with a couple of my other buddies, and they're like, I don't know. How do you decide on that? You just got to roll with the gut. Is there a strategy you look at? What do you do with the cash out option?
Listen, you definitely have to consider it. To pull a grand out off a $3.90 bet.
Exactly, right.
Pretty much sets you up for a pretty nice run. Now, holding it through, there's some big benefits to that. But you could take it. The other option, if you wanted to, you could go to Coolbet right now. And listen, your Tampa number is plus 173. So you could bet Tampa and you could bet the Cardinals. Obviously, a much bigger bet than the 390 that you put down. which would essentially be insurance against that parlay as well. I mean, the Cardinals are dogs in this game. The Chargers are laying a point. So, I mean, this is a close to a coin flip game. I mean, I think I'd feel pretty good if it was just the Ravens to probably let it ride. But I think long and hard about either taking that cash out or putting a few $100 on the other games so that if it does happen that you lose, you're not completely SOL and you've got something coming back. But well done on the 11 games just to start it off. That's a nice place to be going into Monday Night Football. I'll say that. That
is pretty good. My ride with Dust teaser hit yesterday, so that was a 5-gamer, so that was good. All in all, pretty good weekend for the account. So that was nice to see. But Rodgers killed me. I needed the Jets on a couple of different parlays that would have finished off a really, really, really nice day. Huss, we were joking today. What's next? They go and get Jeff Janis, bring Jeff Janis back from his Green Bay Packers days. Our text of the day today from Big Maple was announced they're going to announce the signing of fresh off a DUI charge and weighing in at 421 pounds. The Jets sign Eddie Lacy. Like there's all these old references, but they're 2-5. Mike Tenier was on our show this morning and said they're a bad team that is acquiring people and making moves like they're a contender, but they're sitting here at 2-5. I mean, what are the Jets right now, and how much of it falls on Rodgers and how much of it falls on other aspects of the game?
Well, I mean, it's not all on Rodgers. I think he's played okay. But listen, they're a very undisciplined team. They don't seem to be well coached, and they weren't before by Robert Saleh, although he was sort of focusing on the defense, and the defense has been okay, but not up to the level that I think we all thought that it would be this year. I mean, I still think about the way that they've got run all over right back to game 1 of the season when Jordan Mason, just went up and down the field against them all night. So, I mean, they're a mid team that had big expectations because of the press that comes along with Aaron Rodgers, but he's just average now, I would say, amongst NFL quarterbacks. And the rest of the team is not, I mean, they don't have one area of the team that's really excellent. Before it was their defense. I think the defense has taken a bit of a step back. Tell you what, though, how about them Steelers?
I know. Russell Wilson. And
how
George
much better
Pickens
did George
making
Pickens
plays.
look last night?
That's the thing. That's what I just said. Like George Pickens making plays. Russell Wilson obviously already has trust in George Pickens because he threw a couple balls up, but just like, let's see what George can do here, right? So interesting. I was not expecting Russ. That was one of the reasons I was on the Jets. Were you on the Jets? Jets were one of your best bets too? No. Okay. What were the two we were on together? Commanders?
Washington and New England. 1-1.
Washington and New England. Yeah, 1-1 on those ones. But I was just like, wow, we got to see, let Russ kind of get back up to speed here. But that was a pretty impressive performance last night. Pretty impressive performance there. A quick Spite League update. I lost Jaden Daniels yesterday. Plus, I had Debo. And Debo was sick and didn't play at all in that football game, which was ridiculous to me. Yeah. I don't know how. And they said they knew he was kind of sick along the way. And then I had Travis Kelce, and he really didn't do too much. But I still came away with the dub to improve to 5-2 because Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson had big games. So that was nice. How about the Commanders hanging 40, even with Jaden Daniels going out early in that game?
Dude, they cannot be stopped. They cannot be stopped. I didn't see any of that game. I was at the hockey game and then basically came right into Chiefs-Niners. But, I mean, what was there to watch? I just kept on looking over. Yeah. It was Marcus Mariota getting in on it. Do we have any word on Daniels? I mean, was it more precautionary just because they were destroying them? They didn't bother putting them back in?
Yeah, like I full-blown panicked. I got off the plane and I saw that he left the game and I was like, oh, no. And I went to look for a video for it, and I was like, please not a knee, please not a shoulder. And apparently it was a rib. They got imaging done yesterday. They were going to get more imaging done today. I am monitoring the situation somewhat closely. And they said they probably won't know more until Wednesday or Thursday. But I know some insiders are thinking, like, they're not ruling out that he could play this week in the first overall versus second overall battle between the Bears and the Commanders. So It doesn't look like it's going to be anything of super significance. I would love to see him and Caleb Williams go head-to-head this week, so hopefully you can see that happen. But yeah, kind of dodged a bullet, I guess, which is
that going to be the Thursday nighter?
Is
that a Sunday game?
I think, let's see here. I got week 8 schedule right in front of me. It's not the Thursday nighter. It is late Sunday. Not the Sunday nighter. That's Cowboys Niners, but it's in the afternoon slate on Sunday. So there's some extra time there for him to be ready. Anything else from the NFL yesterday, Huss, that stood out for you?
Oh man, I mean, there's tons. I mean, Pittsburgh 5-2, as we mentioned, that's looking very good to cash. Do you remember how many people were saying this team's not going to make the playoffs? Yeah. This is going to be the first losing season for Mike Tomlin. Apparently not. Oh, the Thursday nighters, Vikings Rams this week. Rams just got their second win of the season. Interesting matchup. So listen, I think that was a huge one. The Bills are the Bills. They kind of toyed with the Titans for a little bit and then ran away from it. The big takeaway is that the 3 best teams in the NFC might all be in the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, who would who else would you make a case for?
I mean, it's not San Francisco. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, man.
I would take Detroit, Minnesota, or the Packers over anybody in the NFC East, over anybody in the NFC South, and I think over anybody in the NFC West. Like Green Bay.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And
I mean, we saw Detroit,
Seattle,
Minnesota,
Tampa. Yeah. No, I think that's a fair statement. It's funny when you look at the playoff picture right now because it's just it is kind of funny. NFL playoffs right now. The Detroit Lions first in the NFC, followed by the Commanders, the Bucks, the Seahawks. The wild card right now, Vikings, Packers, Bears. The entire division is in the playoffs if it started today. So that's the type of year that it's been in that division, and we'll see if the Packers can continue to roll there as well. Hush, you said it last week on the Lock Shop, I believe, on Thursday's show. The Cleveland Browns are probably just playing Deshaun Watson so he can get hurt, and then sure enough, this week he tears his Achilles and he's out. And Nick Chubb returns, finds the end zone, and it's a great story. And depending on which Browns fans you talk to, it's 2 great stories that they saw over the weekend.
Did you hear the cheering when he got hurt?
That's a tough pill to swallow.
I mean, it's a real tough look. I mean, I know how bad the situation is in Cleveland, and I wasn't even joking. I mean, I think that's the only end game to the way that this was happening. Obviously, you'd never want to see somebody, tear an Achilles the way that Deshaun Watson did. But at least for them, they can kind of move forward. Now, they still have all this money tied up in him for the next few years. I still don't know how it goes. But, dude, he has been so bad. This season, he is statistically worse than Jamarcus Russell was in the year that got him out of the league. So he's worse than the biggest draft bust of all time right now. The funny thing is, it wasn't Jameis that went in. We need Jameis. I mean, just for the entertainment value.
He did eventually play, though, too.
Yeah.
The other guy got hurt, too, right? So, we'll I mean, I want Jameis. What's Jameis do? Is this Jameis's thing? Is that where he...
Yeah, eat a W.
Eats a W?
He's from another planet, man. He's from another planet. He's absolutely hilarious. Colts get a big win. Indy's 4-3. I still don't think they're particularly good. And I'm very out on Anthony Richardson. From a guy that was supposed to be sort of a big-time fantasy player, they're better when Flacco's playing, I think. And listen, we'll get to these 2 games tonight. I am quite interested in what we get from the Chargers. And again, I know our buddy that's got the 11 gamer that's already in was needing the cards. to me, this is a really, really interesting game. Like I know the Ravens are favored against Tampa, and you'd imagine that. Although Baker's had an unbelievable season. I think he's the number 2 fantasy quarterback this year so far. But we'll see what we get from Arizona tonight, who's 2-4 on the season. And I think the Chargers right now, like the Chargers have a big opportunity. If they can get this win tonight, get to 4-2, I think they're comfortably one of the wild card teams. Because right now you've got the Bills, you've got the Steelers who are leading the division, but we'll definitely put in the Ravens in the playoffs as well. You've got the Texans, you've got the Chiefs. So, I mean, there's 5 teams. Your next 2 teams, it's going to be either the Chargers, the Colts, the Bengals are back in the conversation now at 3-4. They got to keep on winning. But this is a huge game for the Chargers tonight. If they want to get that playoff spot, they got to win this game against Arizona.
We will set up both of the Monday Nighters. Jake from Coolbet's going to join us around 11:30 today. Trev, you sent him the link? All right, yeah. So Jake will be in about 10 minutes' time as well. Huss, just quickly on the Chiefs. We were talking about it this morning, and actually, let me peruse the nasty chat here. Pass along a couple messages. We'll let you react to this. Smitty the Welder says, guys, it doesn't matter. Just give the Chiefs a Super Bowl again. That's what the league and the refs want. Smitty the Welder is a Niners fan, I think, so I'll preface that. And then Old Gil says, I know that Mahomes went on that big run, but I feel like when he gets to the sidelines, people are scared to tackle him as they know there'll be a flag, even if touch him out of bounds. It blows my mind that the Chiefs are 6-0 and Patrick Mahomes has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Like, how are they continuing to get this done? Because I don't think you're going to see 6-0 teams with a quarterback that's thrown more picks than TDs.
Listen, they're out of the style points era and they're in their championship era, and it is just about winning. Listen, he had a couple great runs. He obviously ran the ball in for a touchdown on the ground yesterday.
Yep.
And listen, Rashee Rice is out. Hollywood Brown is out. I mean, we're basically back to where we were last year with a pretty underwhelming receiving core right now. But listen, they find ways to win. And this isn't the 2019 Chiefs where Mahomes had to go out and throw, 5,000 yards and 4 touchdowns in every game to win, to make up for their defense. Their defense is championship level. And they just go in there and they take care of the football for the most part. I mean, I know those 2 picks were a little weird. One was a tip ball and the other one, Mecole Hardman just fell. But if you watch the game, Mahomes is still playing at a very, very high level. Like, it's not like all of a sudden the guy sucks and they're somehow winning these football games. I mean, that was a blowout yesterday. I mean, he didn't need to throw. I mean, I guess that's the easiest way of putting it. They didn't need to do anything more than what they were doing. And like the defense spooked Brock Purdy again. They said, okay, Brock, much like they did in the Super Bowl, it's going to be on you to beat us. And he wasn't able to do it. So they're just knocking them down as they come and staying on top of the league right now. It's 6-0.
Okay, so here's the schedule. Here's the schedule for the Chiefs moving forward. Let's tell me where the loss happens, if it does. They're at the Raiders. They're going to win that game.
Hopefully they don't lose that game because I'm going to be there.
Okay, so that's right, you are. The Bucs at home in Kansas City won't be easy. I mean,
no,
maybe. Then they get Denver at home in Kansas City. So do you think they will be unbeaten going into the game on Sunday, November 17th in Buffalo against the Bills? Will they be 9-0?
I think so.
Oh, wow. A 9-0 Chiefs team versus the Bills in Buffalo. Wow. That'd be a fun one.
And that's on the 17th?
That's on the 17th.
Of course, that's the same day as the Grey Cup.
Oh, that is Grey Cup Sunday. That's right.
The one day that I don't watch a lot of NFL. The only day of the year. Grey Cup Sunday. It's going to be
Bills and Chiefs.
That'll have to be the night game, right?
No, it's a 2:25 game.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's an afternoon game.
I'll actually be able to catch some of it then
You'll
before.
be able to catch some of that before. Yeah. Then after the Bills, they get the Panthers, the Raiders again, the Chargers, the Browns, and then they wrap with the Texans, Steelers, and Broncos. So not a ton of heavy hitters on this schedule the rest of the way here for the Chiefs.
No, I mean, their schedule was loaded up at the start. I mean, look at who the Chiefs have already beat.
They went through Ravens, Bengals, Falcons, depending on what you think of them, the Niners. Already played the Chargers once, beat them 17-10. We'll get them again. So, it's a nice season brewing up here for the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, we'll continue.
That Bills game is the game.
Oh, yeah.
And then that Saturday game, and who knows? I mean, that Christmas Day game, it's weird. The Chiefs are playing on a Wednesday this year. They're going from the Saturday at home against the Texans and then to Pittsburgh. I was actually looking at some flights for that. Wouldn't that be fun?
Smokes,
Christmas in Pittsburgh.
So they play on the 21st and then on the 25th. They get 3 days off in between games. That's ridiculous.
Which is the equivalent of playing Sunday and then Thursday. Just in this case, they're going Saturday and then Wednesday.
Somewhere, McLeod Bethel Thompson's ears are just steaming right now. He can't believe this. Holy smokes. Okay, hey, let's transition to the Canadian. We'll come back around to NFL. Jake's going to join us in a little bit. I guess the big takeaway, first of all, Toronto, they lock up second in the East, take care of business against Ottawa. Kind of saw that one coming. But what about Vernon Adams against the Montreal Alouettes? Tough for Montreal. Traveled in the day before, got in late, weren't dressing everybody. Had a couple guys on the defensive side of the ball missing, but still, VA throws for almost 400 yards. McInnes has 100 yards. Hatcher has his first 100-yard game of the year. VA, I thought he was outstanding. How much stock do you put into that game for the BC Lions?
I mean, a lot, because they're going to, that's probably the way they're going to be going for the playoffs. I couldn't help but watch that and think, I would love to see a rematch of last week's game between the Riders and how things might look different if VA is at quarterback and that's the sort of performance that they get. And the other thing I was thinking is, God, the Bombers better beat Montreal, because that team looked a lot more intimidating than anything that we'd seen over the course of the past couple months from them. So, you did the game. What did you see?
He looked great. Like there was more jump in their offense, and he was hopping around. He's getting out of the pocket. He's on the run. That offense and Vernon Adams looked like they did prior to the injury against Winnipeg. Like when he was on that 6,000-yard pace or whatever it was, and he was the runaway MOP 7 weeks into the season prior to the injury. And it's a fascinating story because he gets hurt. Then they start the Legala because he's hurt. Then they bring back Rourke. Then VA gets healthy, and they never gave him a start after that. And Rick Campbell talked about, two quarterbacks, and you can win with two quarterbacks in this league, and they sprinkled him in at halftime of one game against Toronto out in BC, which was weird because Rourke had a touchdown drive at the end of that half, and then they took him out. So that was bizarre in itself. But you could just tell, the players openly admit that this is VA's team. And when he got the ball back, they're like, okay, let's go. So very much different looking offense than what we saw from Rourke. So I said this morning, we talked about it, does it change your power rankings at all? And it's like, no, it's still the Riders and the Bombers 1-2 in the West, but whoever the BC Lions play, if VA plays like he did this past week, man, it's going to be a good game. You're going to have to play well to get past the BC Lions with Vernon Adams at quarterback. So, and the other interesting thing coming to that game, to me at least, was the Montreal Alouettes, it was a shorter week because they played on Monday, had to travel out to Vancouver. They hadn't won out there since 2015 anyway. I think before that they hadn't won 20-some years. They don't do well in Vancouver coming across the country. But there's no way Jason Moss is going to want to limp into the playoffs here. So I'm very interested to see what type of Alouettes team the Bombers get in the first of the back-to-back games with the Bombers and the Riders next Saturday. Because Jason Moss, he looked pissed. He looked pissed on the sideline with the way that they got pumped by the. So there's I just don't see him taking his foot off the gas. He'll want to go in with a win knowing that they're not going to play again for another couple of weeks after that. It's the last thing Jason Moss wants is to go into the postseason with a bye, and then prior to that, 2 nonchalant losses. There's just it's going to be interesting.
I would counter the one thing that he wouldn't want to do more than that is going to the playoffs with, for instance, his number 1 quarterback injured.
Yeah.
I mean,
but his backup quarterback's 4-0. Like Davis Alexander's not bad. Yeah. So I would agree with that. We thought he kept Cody in way too long just because you never know what happens, right? They played him all the way through the first half. But Davis Alexander's won football games this year. It'll be, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially if you're Montreal and Toronto's been red hot. Right. And now Toronto's going to go be at home, probably smoke the Red Blacks in the East semi. And then they're rolling in with all the momentum in the world. And you're the Alouettes. You haven't played in 2 weeks. And prior to that, a couple of losses. It's going to be interesting. Playoffs are going to be interesting in the East.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Argos are looking really good. Now, they were running away with that game. Ottawa sort of made it look a little bit better in the second half, but they were out of it very, very early. But you're right. I mean, a lot of intrigue as to how Montreal handles it. I mean, do they just shut it down and say, okay, we'll see you in the East final? I'm kind of with you. I don't think that they do that. And I think they also realize that they've got an opportunity to significantly dent the Bombers' chances by preventing them from having a home field and getting the bye. But the Bombers have already been practicing on the weekend. I mean, they are fully in Montreal mode right now, not thinking playoffs right now, thinking about getting a win on the weekend. So that'll be a big one for us to pay attention to, that's for sure.
Hey, on the National Hockey League front, well, actually, let's just quickly, do we have CFL lines yet for this week?
No,
they're not up yet? Okay. All right, well, we'll leave that. They'll be up tomorrow, and we'll dive into that tomorrow. Huss, can you tell us here at Edmonton how to properly operate a power play? Because the Winnipeg Jets power play is lights out, and the Oilers are 6.7, third worst in the National Hockey League.
How insane is that?
It makes
no
sense.
You want to talk about a turnaround? I mean, the Jets were 4th in the league last year, and Rick Bowness said himself on our program, said, you know what, if our power play was average last year, we probably win the President's Trophy. It's night and day. I think a huge part of it here is the addition of Nikolai Ehlers, who for whatever reason was always on the second unit and that was his unit. He's now mixing in. They're moving the players. They're moving the puck really well. He scored 4 times on Friday night with power play. There was just a hell of a performance right now. And special teams have been really good for Winnipeg. And that's a big reason why they're the lone unblemished record in the NHL right now. How about that?
It's very impressive considering how good they were last year. I mean, I don't think everybody's going to look at it and go, it's just a hot start. They're not going to be a good team again. Just one game tonight in the National Hockey League. It's the Maple Leafs and the Lightning. That'll be a game on Amazon. And maybe that's when we bring in Jake here for some thoughts on this one. And then tomorrow, all 32 teams are playing. We'll have 16 games on the slate tomorrow in the National Hockey League. NHL Super Tuesday tomorrow, which is perfect. That works out well for us. We'll have a huge card tomorrow. Jake, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Not much, boys. It was another nice little weekend, actually, in the NFL. I was at my buddy's place in Guelph, and we were going pretty crazy. We had a 3-gamer moneyline parlay. I hit a 1 o'clock 7-leg teaser parlay.
Yes.
It was fun, man. It was a fun day. I was getting loud on third down, and he kind of has like a screened-in porch with a TV in it. So I'm sure his neighbors weren't thrilled, but I was having a great time.
God, man, there's nothing. And look, I'll preface this by saying, stay cool, bet responsibly. But there's nothing like hitting a 7-gamer. Am I right?
Yeah. Maybe I can rethink it here. I think I was Bills minus 2.5. I got the Cowboys up to like 7.5. Got the Seahawks up to like 9.5. Dolphins up to 9.5. Trying to remember who else was in that slate. Anyways, it was. I was sitting there just watching it unfold, and we got some cushion on a lot of the games. I think the one I was sweating out a lot was that Green Bay game. I had them plus 3.5. I swung it back to the other side, and it was a sweaty one. We also had them in the money line parlay. So that Green Bay game basically swung my whole day yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I had it on the money line, but I also had it on the spread and missed it by half a point, which was a little bit of a kick in the nuts. But some really good games. Although Now, if you watch this game, I mean, I was kind of watching mostly and paying attention to Vikings Lions. CJ Stroud had 86 yards passing, finished with 5 fantasy points. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, he's on one of my teams, and I wasn't too thrilled when I was taking like a good look this morning, and I'm like, 86 yards, like that can't be right. Like that, I mean, they were in the damn football game. Mixon had a great game, but yeah, Stroud not. I was listening to a guy talk about it today. He's like, they're not built for the outdoors. Like they're a great indoor offense. The outdoors, though, is going to affect them. So, speaking of that game, the Packers-Houston game, I did also sprinkle the Pack to win the NFC, and that's no offense to Dusty. I think it's the Lions' conference to lose.
Yeah, but there's good value on the Packers.
I saw today, and obviously I'm not able to bet specifically on Coolbet, so I can't reference our numbers. But what I got them at the fifth highest odds to win the conference. Just want to double check at Coolbet. Yeah, same thing, 8-1. That's what I got today. The Eagles have better odds to win the conference than the Pack. The Eagles stink. I know they beat the Giants yesterday. That means absolutely nothing to me. The Vikings, I think, are a good football team. I'll give them that. But now with the loss to the Vikings, I think they already have a win over the Pack, so that second game is going to be a big deal. And the 49ers are as banged up as any team in the league right now. I mean, Debo gets the illness yesterday. McCaffrey, I don't know if Christian McCaffrey's playing this season. I don't have any information that would lead me to believe he's going to be healthy. Ayuk, he got hurt yesterday. Like, that's a banged up football team, and that's going to be tough. I think it's the Lions conference to lose, but the Pack at 8-1. Like, why not? Why not? Especially if they get some home games in the playoffs.
Well, Jake, I was mentioning to Dusty earlier, I don't think there's any debate. The top 3 teams in the NFC are all in the NFC North.
Right. Yeah, I think that's totally fair to say.
And I mean, the Packers at 8-1, I think, absolutely is right up there. Do we have MVP?
Looks
MVP
like
is not up right now. I'm sure that'll come out again after after these games tonight. Yeah, because I think Lamar is going to be right in there. But, I mean, Mahomes is still up at the top of the list. And I don't know, I think maybe just there's so much on it, they have to keep it there. I mean, we were loving Jaden Daniels there for a while. Obviously, he's out. But I think we're going to start getting the usual suspects. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow is going to probably get some love if they get back into it.
That wasn't a pretty game. But they're starting to win football games now. I think they're favored again next week against the Eagles. Joe Burrow is right back in this race for MVP, and the Bengals are back in the mix in the AFC. Now, the AFC is a division that I can't get quite a read on yet because conference. It's a solid conference. Like, I know it's the Chiefs to lose. I still believe that. Like, even with how ugly they've been winning football games. The Ravens are a good football team. The Bills are a good football team. The Bengals, I think, will be in the mix. You mentioned most of those teams. I actually think Houston is a team of concern right now. Like I said, I just don't know how they're going to fare if they're not at home, if they're not inside. Like, those outdoor games are going to be interesting, especially if they got to go to Buffalo or they got to go to Kansas City. So we know what those games are like.
Yeah, they're a different team with Nico Collins. I will say that.
100%.
I mean, he's top 3 in the league right now, and that connection with him and Stroud is big time. So we'll see kind of how. The good thing is that they're in a shitty division. They should be able to beat the Colts and stay on top of that division, I would imagine. So, they'll get a home game. Can they be good enough to get into the mix for, a 1-2 seed? I guess we'll see. But, for the fact that it was so close and Green Bay had to kick at the end of the game, like, a game winner walk-off when your quarterback has such a pedestrian day, I think actually speaks well to some of the other aspects of their team.
Mixon was great. I mean, Mixon was their offense, right? He had like 115 yards, a couple touchdowns. He was really good, but you're right. Without Nico Collins, man, the Texans passing game is I would be concerned about it if I was a Texans fan. Before we get into the Monday Nighter here, guys, a couple of things. One, Jake, the New England Patriots couldn't help us on the cover there. Hey, get doubled up by the Jets. What happened in that game?
Up 10-0 too.
The game started great. I was like, oh my God, Drake May, like he looked real solid, obviously against a bad football team. I know Jacksonville's not good. And then Jags score. I think they had a punt return touchdown for their second touchdown of the game. I had the over. I was quite happy, actually. The Patriots losing doesn't hurt me at all. I want a top draft pick. I think that's important for this team. They got to be able to protect Drake May if he's going to end up being the guy going forward. I'm glad he's getting some good burn, but a loss doesn't kill me. Do I wish the game was a little closer against a bad Jaguars team? Of course. Jaguars, though, remember, they had already been out in London. They're pretty, pretty ready with in terms of the time change and stuff like that. I think the Patriots traveled a bit later. I think that comes into a factor. So a 10-0 start, we were off and running, but it got ugly there late in the game. But Drake May, he had a good drive early, a good drive late, and good to see some positives out of him. But outside of that, yeah, frustrating one in terms of the cover. I do want to say, this is separate of the Patriots game. In terms of house callers, I know we missed on Jaden Reed. We were one away.
Whose pick was Jaden Reed?
That was the extra pick.
Oh,
that was, yeah.
Because Patty
said he was going to take Cooper.
I actually listen.
I know.
I love the Nasties more than anybody, and the D-Gen Den. I think it's their fault because they talked me out of Brian Robinson Jr. We could have played Brian Robinson Jr. and Kyron Williams. I had both of them on my card. They both cashed yesterday, and we would have been just fine. But they were really
by the injury.
They were the reason. They said something about an injury. They were the reason we jumped off Brian Robinson. I went to Kyron Williams, and then we went to Jaden Reed. So, not to blame the Nasties, but it's their fault.
Not to blame the Nasties, but it's their fault. I had a big one yesterday. This was a 9-man touchdown score yesterday. So Saquon got it. Bijan got it. Jamar Chase got it. Brian Robinson got it. Kyron Williams got it. Amari Cooper got it. I've got Derrick Henry pending tonight. I missed on Travis Kelce. And David Montgomery, of all things, Gibbs has the game. Did Montgomery? That's right.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Montgomery got hurt early. Yeah. Please, and then it was Gibbs.
Please tell me that Travis Kelce also was hurt, Huss. Because why the hell is Noah Gray leading that team in receiving yards?
You know what? Everyone steps up on an undefeated championship team.
I know. Listen, I know it best. The Chiefs are just patrioting right now. Like that's all they're doing. Winning games with defense. It doesn't have to necessarily be pretty. Wins is all that matters. 6-0. Like Huss, you're not gonna apologize for wins. The one thing I was gonna say about house callers, though, this is separate of our parlay. We were talking yesterday, me and my buddies. The script wrote itself yesterday. Kenneth Walker's birthday, found the end zone. Nick Chubb return game, found the end zone. And what was the third one? Saquon Barkley revenge game. Found the end zone. You're on those three. You're cashing.
Even Amari Cooper debut.
Amari Cooper
found the end zone.
The only one though, if you wanted to go Amari Cooper debut, Devontae Adams.
Yeah, well, you can't trust Aaron Rodgers now. So yeah, that would have been the
one that hurt. I jumped on the Jets. Like I probably have the worst record against Mike Tomlin as an underdog. Like, I bet against that guy steady, and he wins as an underdog all the time. He doesn't just cover. Like, he's an outright winner as an underdog many a time. And I just look at that and go, Russell Wilson? Like, I'm going to buy into Russell Wilson?
Russ.
The Jets are in shambles.
Yeah, I'm done with the Jets. I'm not betting the Jets again all season. I'll just say it right now. You guys will not hear me come back around to the Jets all season.
Yeah. Next time we see a 4-2 team at home getting points against a 2-4 team, I think we know what to do.
Yeah.
Especially at home like Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
like,
that's true too.
I had the game on and they scored and Renegade was playing and they're all waving the towels and I'm like, what in the world was I thinking
awesome.
betting the Jets last night? Like, what in the world? Like,
all right, we got two games tonight, boys. We got the Ravens and Bucks. The Bucks at home, 3.5-point dogs, and then the Chargers, a 1-point road favorite, going into Arizona to play Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Let's just start with the sides in this. Huss, is there a best bet somewhere on the board for you with the 3.5 or the 1?
I don't mind the Chargers actually tonight. And I guess at that point, you're just taking the money line. I mean, at minus 111. To me, that is a pick 'em. I guess I'd lay the 3.5 with the Ravens. I think that's sort of where I'm at. They just seem to be rolling right now. I do think there'll be some points in this game, though. Like I'm probably looking at the over for this one because I do think like Baker's been playing so well, and you can pass on the Ravens. So, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Lamar and that offense is going to get theirs. So I actually think this should be a really fun game. Probably get a lot of points. I think I would go on the Ravens, but I think I'd almost prefer over 50 than taking a side in this one. You,
Jake? What about you, man?
Yeah, Huss is speaking my language. Literally, I looked at the board and I was like, I don't have a lot to back it up, but I do like the Chargers. I think what Harbaugh's done there is really impressive. They play good defense, sound defense, and they run the ball really well, and that's like a nice recipe for winning football. And I'm already on the over tonight. Ravens Bucks. I moved it down to 49.5, but like Huss said, the Ravens have the best rush defense in the league. They allow 70 rush yards a game. I think they only have allowed 350 total rush yards this season. So I think it's one of those games where the Bucs are going to try to establish the run, likely abandon that game plan early, and we're going to see a lot of Mike Evans, a lot of Chris Godwin, some Cade Otton, some Baker Mayfield, and hopefully a lot of points. So I'm with Huss on the over and the Chargers. I'm kind of just reiterating exactly what he just said.
Yeah, the over I think is my favorite play of the night from both games. I was looking at a little tease. If you were going to tease, let's say 6.5 points one way or the other in that Bucks Ravens game, would you take the Bucks up to 10-point dogs, or would you flip the Ravens onto the other side here?
Probably myself.
Yeah.
I'd probably flip the Ravens. I think it's more realistic that the Ravens could blow out the Bucks and win by double digits than the Bucks winning outright. I don't know if I can get behind. The Bucks they're solid, but the Ravens have shown a lot in the last few weeks here. And I think it's more likely that the Ravens could kill the Bucks as opposed to the Bucks winning, I guess, by a field goal, right? What do you get, 2.5, I guess, on that?
Yeah, if it's a 6.5 point teaser, that's taking it to +3.
3, yeah. I mean,
even
in the worst case scenario, you could lose on you could push on a field goal.
So you looked intrigued by the question when I first asked it.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought too much about it. I mean, as I say, I think I still like Baltimore to win this game. So
yeah, so that's
I'm with Jake. I think the possibility of them winning by a couple touchdowns is probably greater than the Bucks winning by more than 3. So I guess on that would be the side. I mean, if you wanted to tease something, you could tease the total. Down.
Yeah, that's what you could do, right? You could tease the total down to whatever would be 50, 43.5, 44.
Yeah, I mean, even
43.5.
If you're trying to get a tease on both games, Dusty, and you like the over on both, you could probably move the Ravens. If you went into Bet Builder, I think you could probably move the Ravens to 3.5. Sorry, I'm just trying to build it as I'm talking here. So if you move the Ravens to +3.5 and you get the over to, 44.5, that's -104. And then if you do something similar for the Chargers-Cardinals game, you're going to end up getting over 3-1 probably on some sort of it's like a 4-leg teaser with the side and the total.
Something you could definitely look at for tonight's game. What about some let's put together a little parlay here. I guess we can pick props from both of the games. We got a little bit of extra juice on the board tonight with this second game. Huss, what do you oh, by the way, I should note the wheel today. It's already been posted over at Coolbet, but the wheel spun Mike Evans, but in interesting fashion, because it went 2 past it and then just sort of spun back on its own to get back to Mike Evans. I've never seen anything like it on a wheel ever. And then we did another respin. And then a third respin went back to Mike Evans again. So we're on Mike Evans' touchdown.
You have to go watch the video. You have to go watch the video on Twitter.
It kind of went like this. It ended up here, and then it just went back. Look, it's doing it again. It's just something's off center with the wheel.
The weight's off or something.
What's going on with the wheel?
Yeah.
It's like Dusty wanted Mike Evans to hit. He put him in that slot, and it's oh!
It went back to Mike Evans. So anyway, the wheel is already on a Mike Evans touchdown. What do you guys like tonight?
I was thinking Godwin tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the wheel stopped on Godwin, then went back 2 spots to Mike Evans. I don't know what that means. I just thought
I think Baker's going to be throwing all night because I think Baltimore is going to be putting up. So I think I like Chris Godwin. I mean, Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry's minus 278 right now. I mean, it's not even worth it. And I think I like Godwin better. Like he's plus 125. Mike Evans is plus 120. I mean, I think you can pretty much flip a coin between those two guys. But we talked about the great run defense of the Ravens. That's why I think I kind of like the receivers a little bit better than Irving or Sean Tucker.
Jake, what do you like tonight? So Huss likes a Godwin TD.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at both games. I do like Mike Evans' receptions. I don't think it's too bad at 4.5. I do think it's going to be one of those games where Tampa really tries to establish it and they end up abandoning the run. I think we're going to see a lot of pass attempts from Baker. And I mean, I think like the Baltimore, it's weird. And I don't know if this is because their rush defense is so good, but Baltimore is allowing the most passing yards per game to opposing offenses and the least rush yards per game to opposing offenses. So I don't know if those are correlated and that's why, but teams are having to throw on Baltimore one way or the other. So Evans' receptions at 4.5 minus 120. I don't mind that. I also don't mind Dobbins tonight. I think Arizona's rush defense.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. Yeah, I like Dobbins. It's 79.5. I think in a parlay we could move it down to like 74.5 if we wanted to for a parlay, right? Just I think give ourselves a little bit of breathing room.
I mean, I was actually going to say a touchdown score even more than Mike Evans. I love Dobbins.
Dobbins too.
He's minus 137 for that.
Well, maybe. Well, what do you think, Jake? What should we put together here? We got the Dobbins TD. We got a TD from Godwin. We got Dobbins over 74.5. And what'd you say again? Mike Evans. You like Mike Evans?
Yeah. Well, listen. If we want to go Dobbins, Huss, you like Dobbins TD over Godwin TD? Yeah.
Like I think that if I'm going to make one, I mean, it's a little less odds, but I think it.
Sure.
Like the Tampa thing can go one way or the other. I think Dobbins is getting into the end zone, and I know they're going to be running the football tonight. That is how this Jim Harbaugh team plays.
Well, Dusty, I mean, tell me how you like this. We can go Evans, 5+ receptions, minus 120. We can take the over in the Ravens-Bucks since we all like that. We'll take it down to 49.5. And a Dobbins anytime TD. That gets us a piece of both games. Or we can add one more from the Chargers game and make it a 4-legger if we really wanted to. I mean, you guys let me know. I mean, I like.
I would be okay with Dobbins CD and Dobbins over 74.5 yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do that, and then let's take the over in the other game with the Mike Evans reception.
Yeah, over 49.5. Evans 5+ catches. Dobbins anytime touchdown, and Dobbins 75+ yards.
Quick question. Do we like Mike Evans with 5 catches, or do we like him with 54.5 yards? Because he could get those yards in one catch.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I don't have a preference one way or the other. I've bet him tonight receptions, but I just only because I liked the odds better. I think when I got it, it was even money. So down to minus 120. I'm good either way. If you guys have a preference.
Hush, do you have a preference on that?
I think I'm with Jake. I mean, I think we can plop it in either side.
You want to swing vote, Dusty?
No, you guys are both on the same side, so let's just roll with it.
The 5 catches, I think, is pretty. I mean, as I say, Baker's been throwing it, and he's going to have to throw it tonight. So
yeah, like this is a totally different game script than we saw last week. Like they gashed the Saints last week.
27 targets in his last 3 games. I mean, there should be. Last week he only had 2 catches, but before that it was 5 and 8. So
they're more than likely going to have to throw as well because, like I said, this Baltimore rush defense is like if we see the Bucks, gash up the Ravens tonight, you're just going to have to tip your cap and be like, well, no one's gashed up the Ravens this season. It's just
I don't see that happening. So okay, let's go. Mike Evans over 4.5 catches, The over 49.5 in that game, and then a J.K. Dobbins night on the other side, over 74.5 yards and a TD. Beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. Listen, I don't know what the plan is the rest of the way. We got 6 minutes. We can talk a little parlays. I've got some combos. Patty's away, so it's just me working the combos and the
it's Hush,
right
you
now.
got to get going here?
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay, yeah.
Remus is away. You guys have fired up, but get that sucker up. And good luck to our nasty with that 11-gamer. I hope it all works out well for you. I am on the Chargers tonight, though, and the Ravens, and I'll look forward to that. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Big day, NHL, 16 games.
Oh, it's going to be going to be a big one. Big hockey show tomorrow. All right, Hush, you can take off. Winnipeg Sports Talk's coming up in about 5 minutes. Jake and I will take it the rest of the way here. Jake, lay it out. What do you got on the combo cards and parlays?
Well, starting with this, Dusty, went with a super boost tonight. Monday night super boost. Matthews to score, Derrick Henry touchdown. I mean, these are two things that happen, fairly often. Matthews did score last game.
What's the number on that?
So this one, plus 144, boosted all the way up to 2-1.
Oh, wow.
And the way this works, I mean, I can give you guys a little peek back behind the curtain. So it's all based on percentages, right? Like, we really only boost between 10 and 15%. This is a boost upwards of almost 40%. Like, if you look at the number, I mean, you can do the math on it. So plus 144 up to plus 200. That's why it's a super boost, and that's why it's labeled the way it is. So I put that one together. We have a house callers as well in the combos. That's Godwin and Marvin Harrison both to score tonight. The chalk tonight, Leafs, Ravens, and Chargers all to win is plus 463. Double trouble, Baker and Kyler, both former Heisman guys, both to throw an interception at 3-1. And then back in the Bay, you can take the Lightning and Buccaneers both to win at plus 545. Two underdogs tonight. In the exclusives, I'll start with the Nasties in the D-Gen Den. I don't know where they come up with this stuff, Dusty. You can only imagine what the D-Gen Den is like in the Discord. But they put these together, and I get them online for them. So they got Kucherov, 4+ shots on goal. Mayfield, we moved it to 14+ rush yards. I think they had it at 15. Otten, 4+ receptions. A James Conner touchdown. And I believe it's Ilves in the Liga hockey tomorrow morning at 11:30. Minus 1.5 tomorrow. So we could be watching a little afternoon hockey tomorrow if the D-Gen Den parlay goes swell tonight. So they got that right now, plus 1650 in the Lock Shop exclusive section. And then our NFL parlays, like I said, there's not a lot of hockey tonight, right? So we're really just trying to dial in on the NFL. We got the field goal frenzy, both Monday Night Football games to combine for 7+ field goals. If you like the field goals tonight, the barn burner is Ravens and Bucks, each to score 25+ points. Heavy is the head, Derrick Henry to record 100+ rush yards and anytime touchdown, and the Ravens to win. That's plus 340. Dobbins is free for my Harry Potter fans. Dobbins is free. J.K. Dobbins to record 80+ rush yards and anytime TD, and the Chargers to win. We might have liked that as a lock shot from what we talked about. Bird Gang, Kyler Murray 2+ passing TDs, James Conner 50+ rush yards, and the Cardinals to win. That's plus 350. The snooze fest is the Chargers game under 44.5 and over 3.5 field goals. And then the two-headed monster in Godwin 70+ receiving yards, Evans an anytime TD, and the Bucks plus 3.5. And then the dual threat delights, Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray both to record 1+ passing TD and 1+ anytime. Usually a rushing TD from those guys, but I put anytime in there just in case maybe they receive one tonight.
No shortage of options tonight. You can find it all over at Coolbet. If you've not yet signed up for an account, use the code LOCKSHOP. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. We have the oil stream coming up right away here at noon in just a couple of minutes. Jake, enjoy the doubleheader tonight, buddy.
Thanks. Go Leafs.
Oh, get out of here. Did you go Leafs? How's that happen? That's Jake. I'm Nielsen. Oil stream coming up next. That's going to do it for the Lock Shop today.